we shall discuss yet another algorithm to find sorting. So the idea is this. Suppose you have elements like minus 1, 4, 10, 100, minus 50, 6, and then say 7 and minus 70. So what we do, we split this into two subarrays. On one side minus 1, 4, 10, 100. On the other side minus 50, 6, 7 and minus 70. We keep doing this until we hit T of one subproblem minus 1, 4, 10, 100. Then this becomes minus 1, 4. This becomes 10 and 100. On this side minus 56, 7 and minus 70. And further if you break this down, it becomes minus 56 and then 7 minus 70. In some sense, the input size reduction tree is like this. Now what we do is the following. So top down is breaking down the problem into two sub-arrays of equal size. Now our bottom-up computation starts. Please note, each of this is sorted. This is sorted, this is sorted. So all these T of one subproblems are sorted. And now with the help of these two sorted arrays, we are going to create a sorted array over here. Similarly, this is sorted, we are going to create a sorted array over here. So like that we are going to do this. So which means this is sorted, this is sorted. Now we are sorting in increasing order, so we sort this. Then 10 and 100, we sort this, we write it as 10, 100. And then minus 50 and 6, it is minus 50 and 6. And on this side it is 7 and minus 70. When we sort, it becomes minus 70, 7. Now each of this is sorted. Now this is a sorted subarray and this is another sorted subarray. Using these two, we create a sorted subarray at this level. So which means it's minus 1, 4, 10 and 100. Over here again these two are sorted. We are going to create a sorted subarray at this level. So minus 70, minus 50, 6 and 7. Now this is sorted and this is sorted. With the help of these two, we are going to create a sorted array over here, which is minus 70, minus 50, minus 1 and 4, 6, 7, 10 and 100. So top down breaks the problem into two subproblems or two subarrays of size n by 2, n by 2, then n by 4, n by 4 and so on. Then in bottom up fashion we start combining sorted subarrays. So this is sorted, create a sorted subarray. Now at this level if you see, each of this is sorted. Now you have a sorted array of size n1, sorted array of size n2, create a sorted array of size n1 plus n2. Now this is sorted, with the help of these two create a sorted subarray of size n. Now that's all. What we want is, given an input sequence of this type, we wish to output a sorted sequence in say non-decreasing order. Algorithm says you break the problem down into two subproblems of equal size until we hit T of one subproblem or until the recursion bottoms out. When the recursion bottoms out, you start combining two sorted subarrays to get a sorted array at this level and keep doing this until you get a sorted array. Now, couple of questions. Input is say sorted arrays A1 and A2. Now question, we want to sort A1 union A2. That's precisely what we are doing, right? This is sorted, this is sorted. Now we are sorting A1 union A2. Now how efficiently we can do this, or what is the complexity of this? So how efficiently this sort of A1 union A2 can be computed. And now that's the underlying cost. Once we know this cost, then we can substitute in the recurrence relation and solve our usual strategy to get a solution to this design. So this follows divide and conquer. Divide as part of input phase and conquer as part of combined phase, or where we build the solution. Now if you look at selection sort, bubble sort and insertion sort, they follow incremental design, but this follows divide and conquer design, and it is yet another algorithm design for solving sorting. Now we shall analyze this question carefully so that we can estimate the overall time complexity. That's our next focus. Let's look at this input. So we are given two sorted arrays, A1, A2, and our objective is to sort A1 union A2. So we are looking for an algorithm to answer this question. Let's assume A1 is say 1, 2, 3, 4, and A2 is say 10, 20 and 30. So you can assume cardinality of this is N1 and N2. Now what we do, you can look at it this way. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. On the other side 10, 20, 30. So you have an output array. So I maintain two pointers. A pointer 1 pointing the first element of this, a pointer 2 pointing the first element of the second array. So let me compare the elements pointed by the pointers, so 1 and 10. Now this is small, the one that is small that is placed in the output array. Then move this pointer. So now move P1 to the right, so it comes over here. Now don't change P2. Compare 2 and 10. Now 2 is small, so which means from whichever array you get to see the minimum element, minimum among these two, minimum between these two. And if it comes from the first array, move that pointer and place the minimum over here. So again move P1. Then compare the current element pointed by P1 and P2. Again this is small, place it over here. Then compare, move P1. Compare 4 and 10. Now when you see that we have exhausted the first array, which means all other elements, the rest of the elements, they are all greater than this. That was the case, right? When we started comparing the value pointed by P1 and P2, when we moved P1, which means the value pointed by P2 is greater. If this element itself is larger than this, naturally the subsequent elements will also be at least this. The reason is this itself is greater than this, and these elements are at least this. So which means if the minimum comes from this, naturally all these values are starting from P2, all other elements are at least this. So which means now we have exhausted with P1, no further comparison. You simply copy the content of the rest of the contents of this. That is all. So now if you see, we have compared 1 and 10, and then we moved this pointer, then it was 2 and 10, we moved this pointer, it was 3 and 10, 4 and 10, so like that we did this. So this is one case study. So let's look at another case study where it is say 1, 2, 3, on the other side it is say 4, 5, 6, 7. Now if you follow this strategy, what do you get? Now you compare 1 and 4, then move P1, then compare 2 and 4, P2 is unchanged, and then move P1. So compare 3 and 4, move P1, and you are exhausted, so you copy 1, 2, 3. After that simply copy 4, 5, 6, 7. Correct? Now let's look at one more. Suppose it is say 10, 20, 30, 40. This one is say 1, 2, 3. Now there is a pointer pointing this. Let that be P1 and let this be P2. What are we doing? We are comparing 10 and 1. We know this one is small. So in the output array, you place 1 and move P2. So now P2 is pointing this. We are comparing 10 and 2. Place minimum over here. Move P2. Then move this pointer. Then compare 10 and 3. Again move P2. Place minimum over here. Now you see that array 2 is exhausted. What does that mean? In the previous iteration, we compared the current value pointed by P1 and the current value pointed by P2. And the update was with respect to P2, which means the value pointed by P1 is at least the value pointed by P2. That's one side. On the other side, all these elements are at least this, which means the moment you exhaust P2, you can simply copy the rest of A1. So you get 10, 20, 30, 40. So the idea is this. I am giving you possible scenarios or case studies using which we are going to estimate how many comparisons we incur to answer this question. Let's look at this case study. So you have 1, 3, 5, 7. The other array is 2, 4, 6, 8. So very interesting case study. This one is sorted. This one is sorted. We are going to merge them to create a sorted array of size 4 plus 4, which is 8. So as always, P1 is pointing this and P2 is pointing this. So we compare 1 and 2. Now minimum comes from this, so place minimum here and update this pointer. Now after that what happens? We compare 3 and 2. Now you see that minimum comes from this, so we move this pointer. Now we compare 3 and 4. We see that minimum comes from this, so we move this pointer. Then we compare 5 and 4. Minimum comes from this, so move this pointer. Then we compare 5 and 6. Minimum comes from this, so we move this pointer. Then we compare 7 and 6. minimum comes from this, then move this pointer, then we compare 7 and 8, minimum comes from this. Now you move this, now you are exhausted, simply place the other of A2, it is just one element. So now you see that compared to other examples, this example is taking more comparisons, correct? So you can see that for this input, this strategy is taking 7 comparisons, and over here we see that it is 3 comparisons, over here also it is 3, and over here it is 4 comparisons, and so on. Now as you can see, there are examples where the updation happens only in one part of the array. For example, this one we keep moving this, and once we reach the end of it, we simply copy the rest. So is the case with this. We keep moving this, when we hit the end, we simply copy the rest. Whereas this one was interesting. You see that there is an update from both, but the pointer update happens alternately. So I move P1 first, then P2, then P1, P2, like that we constantly switch between P1 and P2. In fact, that should tell you something. So the case where we tend to move P1 and P2 alternately, that should incur maximum number of comparisons. So first I move P1, then P2, then P1, then P2. So like that we keep doing this, right? That would take maximum number of comparisons. Now can we generalize this? Interestingly, you can observe this can be generalized. If this one is N1, this one is N2, so maximum number of comparisons is N1 plus N2 minus 1. Minimum number of comparisons is min of this 3 is precisely min of N1 comma N2. So that shows that number of comparisons to answer this question, right? So number of comparisons is between min of N1 comma N2 and N1 plus N2 minus 1. So it is at least this number and at most this number, and it is tight. For example, here is an example for which it is precisely N1 plus N2 minus 1. Here is an example for which it is min of N1 comma N2. So given two sorted arrays A1 and A2, the time to or the number of comparisons we need to sort A1 union A2 is between min of N1 comma N2 to N1 plus N2 minus 1. This you can observe, right? You can imagine like there are N1 elements and there are N2 elements here, and we keep moving the pointers. First time it is this, second time it is this, and like that we alternate. So which means you get, you can observe this 1, 2, then 2, 3, and then 3, 4, and 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8. So which means if you look at this element, say 2 is compared with to the left 1, to the right 3. Look at 3. To the left it is 2, to the right it is 4. Look at 4, to the left it is 3, to the right it is 5. Which means if you look at N1 plus N2, how many gaps are there? The gaps are N1 plus N2 minus 1. And that many number of comparisons we take place, that many number of comparisons are taking place as part of this algorithm. So that shows that minimum number of comparisons is min of n1 comma n2. Maximum number of comparisons is this, which means when we do the analysis, in the best case we need this many comparisons, in the worst case we need this many comparisons. Now we are going to make use of this to analyze our sorting algorithm. So how much time we incur to sort an array of size n, which will make use of this algorithm as a black box or a subroutine. Now, having analyzed the complexity, we can easily analyze the complexity of sorting, which is using this as a subroutine. Now, minimum you get to see when the pointer movement is only on one side. Maximum we get to see when it alternates. That's really what we want, right? And here is one interesting case study that takes maximum, and an average or for an arbitrary input it is between this and this. So now what we will do, when we analyze our sorting algorithm, we will assume this at each stage and then do best case analysis. And further, we will assume this at each stage and do the worst case analysis. Then subsequently we will do the analysis to conclude what is the time complexity. And our ultimate question is this algorithm running in time better than theta of n square? Is it little o of n square? That question also we will address it.